Hello, my name is Bianco. In this video I will talk about the Lansky Responder quick action knife as it is here in my hand. I picked that one up at the Blade Show 2014, and in the Blade magazine that was out for that show we see the advertising of that knife. The one that I got is on top. It's the smaller version, the Responder quick action knife, and there is a Responder X9, way bigger variant of that knife. I had that in my hand too. It's a bit on the big side for everyday carry, so I did not get that one. And below there we have the World Legal. That is a slip joint knife. As best as I saw at the Blade Show, I did not take that in my hand because it's not one hand opening, and we do not need that in USA at all yet. Would be a good alternative as a slip joint with the nail nick, the two hand opening for countries where you have more knife laws that are against the free people, where you can't carry the one hand opening knives and all that. So that knife would help you there. All the designs are willumsen, urban tactical, as we see it here a bit in the description. There is also the lansky.com website. Lansky sharpeners, as the name say, is usually recognized for their sharpening systems. I did start back then in Switzerland with Lansky system as well, way many decades ago, and they did later on make a bit knives as well. I remember the first knife I had from Lansky was a plastic synthetic dagger style. That one did not cut too well, of course, because it's a synthetic, but it was a special purpose item back then, as it is today, where such items are a bit more common in USA. A couple more companies make them, but back then I think Lansky was the first one that injection molded them, and that one I got in the past one day, and made a bit of sheet for it and all that. But now they also make real knives with great design. I like the design, how it looks and how it feels in your hand. Gives you a good handle. Unfortunately, that one is a bit on the small side for my hand. It works, but for my bigger hand, the bigger one is better in my hand. But the bigger is already a bit on the really big side. You see the picture on the knife magazine is not 1:1, so have a look on the lansky.com website. There you see the correct sizes from that two knives. But maybe one day I get the bigger one, we see. So blade steel, they say, is for 40C, which would be really good. We see the big hole, the opening hole. The thumb stud is basically as a stop pin. There is no stop pin in the liner lock. It has a flipper on the lower part, and the finish of the blade, it has two finishes. It got stone washed, and then they did do the flat part in satin. That looks pretty nice all overall. The design of this knife show you the detent hole here. We see already a bit of a curve. That's from the detent ball on the liner. Usually that is covered up by the frame, by the construction, but not on this one, so that's rather unique. On this side you also see the hole for the pocket clip. You can screw off and put it on the top side. There depending on how you want it. The pocket clip I did not test it out yet because that's a serious flaw on that knife that I got. The sides, as we see here, maybe the camera pick it up from here on all the way up. It's pretty rounded, but on top here all the way to here we see there is a bit of whatever the Chinese did is absolute sharp, so that part is sharp. I need to take it off and round it myself and put it a bit on a satin wheel and round the edges there off. I did not do anything on it since I came from the blade show, just to put a bit of oil in it. The knife came completely dry. The scales, the back side is solid, it's a black, it's a injection molded, and the front has two parts. It's black and green, both parts are injection molding and a bit overlapping here with the screws. I did not take it apart, quite likely it needs Loctite on the screws, and what I can say is out of the box I need to adjust the pivot pin because the action did not flip too smooth and it was completely dry, so it needed a oil. Also I can say inside, maybe the camera see it, the spacer, which is a solid metal and stands out here, it's pretty nice rounded. It's not that much of a deal in your hand, but it has a bit it's not completely flat, it has a bit of gap here. Maybe if I put on the screw a bit tighter, maybe that will go on. We will see how that looks as I take it apart. Could be a loose screw. Also I have to say, as with many knives in China, that thing is dirty inside. I see that already without taking it apart. How it looks, the feedback goes from people, from friends that did visit the Chinese factories, that the room, the halls where they assemble the knives are really dirty. The air is dirty, there is a lot of dust and debris, and that you see inside the knife. Not to say anything bad about Lansky, that is basically typically with knives. I had that with other brand knives as well from China. So it is how it is. If we look the cheap price that we get for that knife, as best as I remember, I paid $11 or $12 at the blade show. They had a bit a special deal. The bigger one was of course a higher price. I think the bigger is suggested retail around $50. But again, you can check out the Lansky website for the correct informations. But for those $11-12 that I paid for this one, that's a great deal for do that additional work myself and test out that design a bit. It's pretty nice in my hand. Could be slightly bigger, as I did say, but it's also easy to carry once the clip is fixed. It has a nice big blade, and as we see by the liner lock there, the plastic has a bit of nick that I gonna remove. The liner is nicely adjusted in the lower level of the blade tang, so that works really nice too. The flipper stands out a lot on top, which make it a nice flipper. Once the knife is taken apart, cleaned, reassembled, and looped up correctly with the pivot pin adjusted, that it flips a bit better, then that works. Out of the box I had, at least as it was dry, a hard time to actually flip it with my hand. But also next to the flipper, of course, you have the big hole. That should also work with your gloves, that you'd simply go in here and open it up. That's all what it is. so it works really well. The pins here, the stop pin, that is not designed for open the knife. That is strictly a bolt for lock the blade into the open position on the frame, as we see it here now. That is not for opening or closing, so it's either the flip that we have here or the hole in the blade to open, and both of course works with left or right hand. So that's pretty nice. That's basically how it goes as it is fresh out of the box, about like this. But as I put a bit oil and flip it a little bit harder, and the privet still needs to be adjusted, then it should be fine. The washers that they used are nylon. Maybe there is an upgrade. That would be really nice if those newer washers with all the little balls in it would be in the correct size, that it would fit that knife. That would sure help the action. And yeah, we see what I gonna do with it for the future. But for the price, for those $11-12ish, it's a for sure nice knife, easy to fix up. 440C is not the most fancy steel. I hope they did the heat treating a bit well on that blade, but 440C I use for many decades now, and that did always work for a using knife, and so for me that's pretty okay. So there is no major flaw on that knife. The design is nice as well, I like it, but that is personal. So if you have a chance, look it up. If you go to your favorite knife place, have a look on the smaller and the bigger one. The bigger one is for sure a beast. Maybe one day I get that too, after some good experience with the small one, just to get a set. That much about the Lansky Responder quick action knife.